Det recording. Nå begynner vi å rekorde. Og de som holder foredrag, som ikke ønsker at det skal bli filmet, da setter vi den på pause, så det ikke blir filmet. Sant? Så det opp til hver enkelt å si fra om det. Ideen at vi da kan dele. Skal vi se, der kom den. Share. Perfekt. Og så det da norsk or English. Many people, have English as the professional language, and this is my language too, and professional language. And so for me to try to make these presentations in Norwegian makes it awkward and strange, but I try my best. But we are in Norway, and this is where our largest market will be. So having a professional language in Norwegian is important for us here. But then these solutions that we provide are not only national, they have an international application. And of course, knowing this, to have this, to be bilingual when it comes to this is very important. So we have, just trying to make this work. We have no planned fire exercises, and if there's a fire exercise, it's real, so then we just go out. And lunch are in the north localities next by. And then we have a matchmaking. I didn't really crack that nut to figure out how this should be done. Is it cold? But we have time for discussions after all the presentations have been done. So what role do we foresee for geothermal in the long term and short term? And what tasks do we have ahead of us? So I'm going to just spend a little bit of time on that, and then Julia takes over. So just looking at the energy from 1850 to 2020, we see that there's been a global explosion when it comes to energy use. And then any use, yes, do that. And then we've seen a dawning green shift the last 20 years, where the renewable sources have actually accelerated. But what we're looking ahead in front of us is actually the green energy shift, where we cannot really rely on using more biomass because of the nature crisis. The fossil sources will almost be phased out, and the remaining has to be abated, compensated. The hard to abate emissions need to be compensated by CCS for net zero. So whatever this number will be over here is for us to figure out. And it's like in 1950 we were 2.5 billion. When I was born in 1980, we were 4.4 billion. This year we passed 8 billion. In 2050 we are 10 billion people. So how do you do that? Well, of course we're gonna have increased electricity production from renewable green sources. But most importantly, we're going to reduce the consumption by efficiency gains, smart solutions, integrated system, and new environmental friendly technologies. And we're going to do this and to maintain a good life for all citizens. So when you look at if we manage to do this, it feels hopeless. But if we manage to do this, and we are in net zero in 2050, we get a big star, right, in the history books after us. So let's say if you're built on sustainable energy solutions and effective use and local, robust, meaning that they are difficult to take down, and they're resilient, easy to build back. If we have these solutions, we are really doing something that aids this transition. And here you see basically the boom we've seen in renewable energy sources the last 20 years. And we are looking at 10% increase every year. 2022 was even greater. So that's how it is with exponential growth. We don't see it for many years. But then 10% addition becomes significant after a few years. When we are in the phase that we are in now. So we are very lucky to live in these times. I think that, And just to show you that when it comes to the price of green electricity, the price hurdle is behind us. We're not looking at the price problem any longer. We're looking at giving access to energy at demand when people need it. So I will stop here. I have much more I want to say, but I will give the word to Julia. And let's see how this works. So I take this down. Fionn, sorry, you had some ideas. Do you want to add something?
I can comment very briefly. Sorry, Julia.
Yeah, we had planned this actually.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Although no slides, but just a couple of comments on the focus of CGER in this situation and with respect to Norway and international efforts. So this is a discussion that has been going on for some time. Of course, what is the purpose of CGER? What is our focus? And I've also written about it in the newsletters and reported on the discussions we've had. We've also taken part in the Energi21 strategy process and given input for the Norwegian strategy, which is a basis for funding and allocation, both research funding and allocation of commercial funds. Now, CGER focuses on both shallow and deep geothermal. However, so just briefly on the terminology, so deep geothermal, I was actually just in a meeting in a European consortium yesterday discussing an EU proposal, and we were looking at what is the definition of deep geothermal, and there isn't one, there's several, and it depends on which country you look at and which organization. And it can be defined with respect to temperature, it can be temperature pressure, it can be defined with respect to actual depth. However, what is important is what kind of production we're looking at. Are we producing heat for use, i.e. carried by water? Directly, or do we want to convert to electrical energy? And of course, those are two different domains. And for Norway, we see the main focus as cooling, heating, and energy storage, mainly. Now, there are efforts. There are companies working on electricity production from shallow geothermal wells. So there are efforts going on. However, based on investigations by Norges Geologiske Undersøkelse and others, conclusions have shown that there is very limited potential for electricity production on mainland Norway. Okay. Now there are other areas. There is Svalbard. So in certain regions, maybe this is something to look at. However, tying this, I said it would be short. Okay, I'll try and cut down. Tying this to drilling. Now, if you want heat and pressure, of course, supercritical, then you need to drill deep in general. So then you have the challenge of drilling, and drilling technology becomes important, and transfer from oil and gas to drilling to geothermal is relevant. And to wrap up, so for this purpose, we're mainly looking at supporting geothermal activities abroad. So in Europe, particularly Iceland, Turkey, maybe Greece, Italy. So these areas, and having collaboration and providing technology and services to these areas. So that is certainly a possibility for Norwegian companies. or companies based in Norway, which may be international as well. So whilst for Norway, mainland drilling isn't such a challenge. However, if there is the possibility of transferring technology, downscaling, making it simple, making it cheap, but still seeing how can we transfer technology from oil and gas to geothermal using the rigs that are used for drilling wells for more heat pump purposes and energy storage. So this is certainly an area where one can look at. So that is an example. I'm sure there are more, but this is some of the picture that we see, and also I'm sure Julia will have comments. So I'll just wrap up with this. So for Europe, what we see is that there is now, with the current EU call, there's a focus on exploration or more planning of activities in the current calls. And I am myself uncertain whether in Central Europe electricity production is also an issue. I think I'll pass that on to Julia. Maybe she can comment on this further. But I leave it at that. Just some thoughts based on what we see in CGER. So thank you very much.